Сегодня в мире
Today, so-called eco-literature has become a popular trend.
популярным трендом. Между прочим,
Your obedient servant has also succumbed to this fashion and wrote an eco-fantasy.
фантазию.
But first things first.
Об этом речь.
Biknur Kisikov, writer, author of numerous novels, stories, and poems, member of jury of literature contest, inspirer and organizer of Kitab Fest Festival, founder of Kazakhstan Encyclopedia Project, encyclopedia.kz.
Если вдуматься,
If you think of it, environmentalism has become a fashion. Salvation of trees, tigers, rivers, and seas, these noble initiatives are supported by world's biggest stars.
величины.
Popular Hollywood actor Leonardo Dicaprio, for instance.
Он стоит во
He is one of the leaders of the protection of snow leopard movement, for what we are immensely grateful.
Но это
But this is not a new tendency.
еще в середине прошлого
In the mid-20th century, one incredible man who lived in Almaty has been fighting for nature.
боролся за спасение природы.
And this man was a scientist, naturalist, and a famous writer, Maxim Zverev. Maxim Dmitrievich Zverev, a Soviet scholar, writer, naturalist, author of a number of books about animals and nature that were published in CIS states, France, England, Spain, Poland, Germany, Cuba, and many other countries. Kazakhstan People's Writer, twice State Prize Award Laureate, commander of 4 orders, member of the Bureau of the Council of Elders, and member of the Board of the Union of Writers of Kazakhstan. He has published about 100 scientific papers, 3 monographs, and has written more than 20 popular science books. Also, he was a founder of mammalogy in West Siberia. He worked as an assistant professor at Tomsk and later Kazakh state universities.
Вся его сознательная жизнь
His
так или
whole
иначе
life was in one way or another related to the nature. The writer spent his young life on the bank of the Ob River in the picturesque Altai nature. After Zverev has graduated from school, he worked in Bobrovsky forestry for some time, and later he became a forestry technician in Repressions village, Altai Krai, territory of modern Russia.
уже
That was the
тогда
period when he started to publish his first stories about nature and hunting trips with father.
сходился с отцом охотничьих
In
походов.
1920, Zverev was enrolled at the Natural Sciences faculty at Tomsk University, and after that he has become a professional zoologist.
Зоологом. Вообще,
Zverev's biography is worthy of the pages of adventure novel.
многочисленные
Numerous scientific expeditions,
самостоятельные
independent field studies, the romance of camp life.
жизни.
I even envy him a little.
А еще
Also, as a subject of His Imperial Highness, in the rank of Ensign Zverev has managed Barnaul Station. He was called up to the army during the Kolchak offensive. After that, he took the side of the Red Army and was appointed military dispatcher of the whole Tomsk Railway. Of course, Zverev's service in the Tsarist army is echoed in his life for several times.
во время
During
репрессий
political repressions in the 30s, he was a candidate for arrest.
Зверева спас
However, the
начальник.
manager of the zoo saved him, where the writer was working at that time.
По официальной справке Максим
As a
Дмитриевич
result, on paper, Maxim Dmitrievich was arrested and sentenced to 10 years of prison.
но в реальности он
But
только
in reality, he was in Gulag only on paper, lived at home, worked at the zoo.
за осаде.
However, his whole salary was collected by the state,
Но
and the
власти-
authorities wouldn't leave him alone.
жена Зверева
Once,
случайно
Zverev's wife found out that her husband's surname has reappeared on the arrest list,
на арест. Когда его
and his
опять
manager has saved him again by sending Zverev to Almaty
в Алматы
in order to assist in zoo opening.
на новом месте
No one knew Zverev there, so he successfully avoided arrest.
волны ареста. В Алматы
In Almaty, Maxim Dmitrievich has managed to fully unleash his talent.
он
He established a small academy of young naturalists, taught at the university, worked on several scientific discoveries, and even fought with poachers. By the way, it was Maxim Dmitrievich who helped deforestation of coniferous forest ban come into effect. He saved the mountains and the famous Tian Shan spruces.
Зверев прекрасен.
Zverev had a clear understanding of the fact that careful attitude toward nature should be brought up from the very childhood. Later, he quit science and started to write children's stories and tales about animals.
О животных.
You, Maxim Dmitrievich, is a wizard and a magician. You carefully learn nature's secrets and wholeheartedly reveal it to every fellow human. You should master your skills in this genre of fiction because you deserve to take your own unique place in the world literature. You deserve it as every single artist does. I welcome you in this genre and bless you.
В процессе знакомства
While getting acquainted with Zverev's books, the reader will meet such vivid characters as hunters, Kazakh Pai,
как охотники казак-пай,
and Amanchin, forest warden Petrenko, or guard Ilya. It is clear from the narrative that Maxim Dmitrievich personally knew all these people, moreover that he maintained good, warm relations with them. But it's even more interesting to read about his animal world characters. Each of them has its own unique personality, disposition, and spirit.
читателя смешат
Readers are amused by anecdotes about the ungrateful mountain tour, whom Zverev freed from the snares.
силков. А в ответ
However, the animal hit its savior with a hoof.
зрителя копытом в лоб. Проклятый
Damn goat, the author swears hastily, crawling away from the tour. What a horrid ungratefulness for salvation.
карно за спасение.
Zverev's works are emotional and they clearly reveal the insides of the animal world. How incredible is Bugu character, who outwitted the hunters in White Marl Story's story, or the story about the swallows who made a nest in the locomotive. The narrative is filled with an incredible philosophical wisdom that makes readers think about it for some time.
Думаться надо.
But the most touching work in the kaleidoscope of Maxim Dmitrievich's stories is without any doubt the story called A Wolf Cub from Betpak Dala. The protagonist of this story is a wolf cub who was found by a zoological expedition. Captured together with the rest of the litter, he differed from his siblings considerably, being tamed and placid. As the author was describing it, this wolf cub behaved differently than the rest. Once you approached the box, he would stand on his hind legs, stretch the wall, whine and frantically wag his tail. Unbelievable, but he was asking to be picked up by the humans. It was so amazing that everyone could hardly wait for the expedition chief to return to the camp. He was an experienced zoologist, and young members overwhelmed him with questions. I know of several similar cases, said the zoologist, picking up the wolf cub. One of the 7 young ferrets that were dug out of a barrow near Novosibirsk also turned out to be tame, whereas its siblings were incredibly wild and angry. This ferret lived in my apartment for 2 years as a pet, and he was very funny. Also, there was a young marten in Trans-Ili Alatau that descended from the mountain spruces, came to write Talgar Cordon straight to a friend of mine, Forrester Burov, and begged for some food. The Burovs were having a dinner. This marten has lived for some years in the Almaty Zoo. I witnessed both these cases, but zoo psychology cannot explain them yet. The
Волчонок
wolf cub, whom zoologists like so much, was fawning upon every member of the expedition.
и раздулся
His stomach
шаг,
inflated because of all the treats he was fed with,
угощали. Но ни разу за это время
and he has
он
never approached a box with his brothers and sisters.
и сестры. Позже волчица
Later,
вдруг
the she-wolf stole her cubs back, but Wolf, as zoologists called him, remained. He and his brothers began to live different lives.
жизнью.
Once the zoologist went on an expedition to Betpak Dala again. It was in June 1941.
И буквально
Just
через
a few
несколько
days later, a telegram came that read that the war has started,
экспедиций
so the
пришлось
expedition had to urgently take off and go back, and the wolf cub, who ran into the desert for a while, was forgotten.
забыть.
All night, the wolf cub was howling. For the first time in his life, he was left alone.
Один. Так началась
Thus, a
суровая,
wild life of a wolf is started.
и люди
The people, who were his friends, were on the other side now.
по другую сторону баррикад. Со
Over
временем
time, the wolf cub became a large wolf and found his place in the desert.
волчок занял свое место в пустыне.
But his first steps were not easy ones.
Ловля
Catching gerbils, lizards, and large beetles was his usual occupation.
обычным занятием.
And then, like other wolves in the Betpak Dala desert, he became the shepherd of saiga antelopes.
Антилоп сайгаков.
There is a reason wolves are called shepherds. Once summer heat dries, takirs and springs disappear. Saiga antelopes don't have access to water. And here come the wolves. The subterranean water doesn't run deep in Betpak Dala. Wolves smell it and do what the saiga antelopes are just not capable of. They dig holes. Replacing each other, sticking out their wet tongues dirty with soil, they dig holes with excitement, casting soil away with their hind legs. Then water appears in the pits. Pushing each other, growling and gritting their teeth, wolves drink and leave. And then saiga antelopes drink from wolf pits. Our wolf cub by that time had already had a family. He was faithful to his she-wolf who gave birth to their wolf cubs. But once hunters killed his family and injured the wolf, he survived and fled towards Narinkol. He no longer had the strength to be a shepherd, so he became a shepherd of sheep flocks, switching to lamb. It wasn't a difficult thing, but it was dangerous, because the sheep were always accompanied by people. For a while, the wolf cub calmed down and even gained some weight. But one day, competitors appeared in the area, 7 young wolves and a large she-wolf. In his young years, he could have scared them all away, but his teeth and strength were not the same anymore. So the wolf cub had to leave the area, giving up his hunting. In a new place, the wolf cub has immediately attracted the attention of the people when he has almost killed a careless domestic cow that was grazing peacefully on the lawn. Naturally, the cow's owner wasn't happy about it, so he decided to get rid of the dangerous beast. Surprisingly, the wolf cub seemed to sense the danger and easily avoided all the traps and nets. So the man had to be sly. He mixed sleeping pills into minced meat and scattered it around. But the wolf immediately felt an unfamiliar taste and threw up the food. However, the poisoned mince was eaten by the crows, who died instantly. The man finally got lucky. The wolf cub has eaten the birds, fell asleep, and was captured. However, the wolf cub didn't know that the person who was chasing him was the same zoologist who once caught him as a wolf cub in Betpak Dala desert. And the zoologist didn't know this either. He brought the wolf to the zoo, where, as an experiment, he began to regularly add luminol, the sleeping pill, to his food. Sleeping powder did not cause any harm to the animal. On the contrary, the wolf cub got better. His fur began to shine, and zoo visitors were frequently stopping near his cage, amazed by his size. The wolf cub became a celebrity. He was photographed. There were newspaper articles featuring him. The experiment conducted by the zoologist has drawn the attention of the scientists. Artificial prolonged sleep has even become people's treatment in the hospitals. In the meantime, the zoologist and wolf cub became friends. The beast allowed people to stroke him through the bars. He would lay on his back and lift his huge paw. Just like my Betpak Dala tame wolf, the zoologist would think, stroking Wolf and not suspecting for a moment that it really was him. This is how the story ends. Wolf is a totem animal for many nations, Kazakhs included. The most famous literary work featuring this animal is probably Kokserek, or Grey and Fierce, written by Mukhtar Ovezov. It is an incredibly exquisite and psychological work. Even the movie was made based on this story. But if Ovezov's wolf is a full-blooded story character that can't speak, Zverev's wolf is an experimental animal who is carefully studied by the writer. In the process of this study, the author introduces his readers to the vast world of wild nature that must be preserved by the human.